In Revenge of the Sith, Anakin Skywalker breaks, burns, and becomes Darth Vader with half his body missing and half his life owned. He is strong, but incomplete, never reaching what the Force built him to be. But what if Mustafar ends differently, and Vader rises with his limbs intact, his senses unmuted, and his destiny still fully loaded? In this version, that's exactly what happens, and the Emperor immediately realizes he has created something he can't safely control. Let's begin. Mustafar is loud with heat. Lava rolls like a living storm beneath black scaffolds. The air tastes like metal and ash. Anakin's eyes are yellow now, but they're still his, wild, frantic, convinced that if he wins this one fight, the universe will somehow forgive him. Obi-Wan Kenobi stands across from him, blue blade steady, voice tight with grief. "You were my brother, Anakin." Anakin hears it like a chain. "You turned her against me," he spits, because the truth is uglier than the words. They clash, not like masters sparring, but like two planets colliding. Sparks whip into the air. The catwalk shudders. Anakin doesn't posture. He attacks with the panic of a man trying to outrun consequence. Obi-Wan gives ground, step by step, not because he's weaker, but because he's reading the rhythm, waiting for the overcommit, the moment Anakin reaches for power instead of patience. And then Anakin does something Obi-Wan has never seen him do. He stops chasing the blade. He reaches past it. The Force tightens, silent, absolute. The walkway groans. Obi-Wan's footing slips, as if the planet itself has decided to betray him. For half a second, he's weightless, and in that half second, Anakin closes the distance and hammers his hilt into Obi-Wan's jaw. Obi-Wan hits the deck hard. His saber skitters across the grated floor. He blinks, stunned, trying to find the next move. Anakin doesn't give him one. He drives his red blade down. Obi-Wan twists at the last instant. The strike tears cloth and skin along his shoulder instead of his throat. Pain flashes across his face as he scrambles backward, reaching for his weapon and closing on air. Anakin steps in, boots ringing on metal. "Anakin!" Obi-Wan gasps. "Stop!" For a moment, something flickers. Temple laughter, a boy grinning over a speeder, a friendship that used to be real. Then the lava below surges and the heat snaps Anakin back into hate. He lashes out with the Force. Obi-Wan is ripped off the catwalk and thrown into smoke and sparks. He hits a lower platform, rolls, and disappears into the industrial maze beneath them. Anakin stands at the edge, chest heaving, staring down into the fire-lit labyrinth. He doesn't follow. He tells himself it's done, Kenobi is dead, and turns away, pretending he feels nothing. Padme is still on the landing platform, frozen like the world has turned to glass around her. She looks at Anakin like she's seeing a stranger wearing his face. "What have you done?" she whispers. Anakin reaches for her, desperate, gentle in a way that makes it worse. "Padme, please. We can still fix this. I did it for us." Her eyes fill, not with fear, but with mourning. "You don't get to say that," she says. "Not after this." Behind him, the ship's ramp lowers. Clones stand in rigid lines, helmets forward, rifles ready. Their presence turns the moment from tragedy into procedure. Anakin swallows. He can't lose her too. He takes Padme by the wrist, not hard, just final. "We're going home," he says. Coruscant welcomes them with light. The skyline is endless and indifferent. Towers stacked into the clouds. Speeders threading through lanes like veins. The city looks normal, which is the most horrifying part. Like the galaxy isn't collapsing right outside the windows. The medical center is sterile and bright. Padme is rushed into a private wing. Droids scan. Nurses move fast. Senators favors open doors that should be locked. Alarms come and go in tight bursts, and then, suddenly, two thin cries slip through a wall you can't see past. A pair of bassinets roll behind glass. Guided by hands that never tremble, Anakin paces at the edge of the room like a caged animal trying to remember how to be a man. Then the doors slide open and the room seems to lose warmth. Palpatine enters without guards because he doesn't need them. His smile is warm, his eyes are not. "My boy," he says softly, "you did well." Anakin turns on him like a blade. Kenobi is dead. Palpatine's expression shifts into something almost satisfied. Then the last chain is broken. Padme stirs on the bed, weak, breathing shallow. She tries to speak. The words don't come. Anakin moves to her side, hands hovering like he can hold her together with sheer will. "She's dying," he says, voice cracking. "You said you knew how to save her." Palpatine steps closer, calm as a priest at an altar. "Life is delicate, but the Force can be persuaded." Anakin's jaw clenches. "Do it." Palpatine lifts a hand toward Padme, not touching, hovering above her chest. The air thickens. The room hums with pressure. Anakin feels the dark side settle in, cold and possessive. Padme's breathing steadies, her eyes open. Relief hits Anakin like a wave, then collapses the moment she looks at him. She sees his eyes. She feels what he is now. And she sees Palpatine behind him, smiling like a man watching a trap close. "You promised me," she whispers. "You promised you wouldn't become this." Anakin swallows down panic. "I did it for you." "You did it to feel safe," she says, tears spilling. "And now nothing is safe." Palpatine's voice slides in like silk. She's confused. The shock, the strain. "She will recover, and you, Lord Vader, must recover as well." It's the first time he says it. Lord Vader. The name locks into place. Anakin's spine stiffens. His fists clench. He hates how part of him likes it anyway. Outside, Order 66 finishes echoing through the galaxy. The Jedi Temple smolders. The Council seats are empty. The Republic becomes the Empire not with a coronation, but with paperwork and silence. And Vader is still standing in a white room, staring at the only person who ever made him feel human, watching her look at him like she's already lost him. That night, the lights dim. Padme sleeps under sedation. Droids monitor her heartbeat. Vader sits in the shadowed corner, hood up, eyes open, refusing to blink, as if blinking might let the world change when he's not watching. Palpatine returns when the hallways are quiet. "You have gained everything you wanted," he says. Vader's voice is low. "She doesn't forgive me." "Forgiveness is a Jedi luxury," Palpatine says. "The strong do not need it." Vader's gaze stays on the bed. "I need her." Palpatine's tone cools. "No, you need clarity." Vader turns slowly, suspicion tightening his shoulders. "What are you saying?" Palpatine steps closer, and the warmth drains out of him. "Attachment made you hesitate on Mustafar," he says. "Even whole, you almost stopped. That pause will get you killed. And I did not build you to die." Vader's eyes narrow. "Don't." Palpatine raises his hand toward the bed. Vader lunges, but the Force catches him like a locked door. He freezes mid-step, muscles seized, breath stuck. Invisible pressure pins him in place, effortless as a thought. Padme's monitors spike. She wakes, gasping, confusion turning to fear as she sees Palpatine looming over her. "Anakin," she whispers, reaching. Vader's throat tightens. "Padme." Palpatine doesn't look at him. "You wanted to save her," the Emperor murmurs. "So learn what saving truly costs." A single clean motion. Palpatine's lightsaber ignites through Padme's chest like the galaxy deciding to be cruel without apology. Padme's eyes go wide. Her hand falls. Her breath leaves and doesn't come back. The room goes quiet except for the heart monitor flattening into a line and the distant muffled sound of two newborns somewhere behind glass. Vader makes a sound that isn't language. Grief splits into rage with nowhere to land. The Force detonates outward. Equipment rips off walls. Glass shatters. Droids slam into ceilings. The entire wing groans as if the building itself is trying to pull away from him. Palpatine finally turns, lightning already crawling in his fingertips. Vader surges forward, red blade swinging for a killing strike. But grief makes you fast, not clean. Palpatine slips aside. Vader's strike bites air. Lightning lashes into him, ripping through nerve and muscle, and Vader still doesn't fall. There's no suit to fail. The pain has to go through flesh. He attacks again. Palpatine disarms him with a flick of force and contempt. Vader's saber flies, clattering across the floor. Vader drops to one knee under the weight of the Emperor's will. Palpatine holds his own blade to Vader's throat. "This is your first lesson," Palpatine says softly. "Pain can make you powerful, but only if you hold it. If it holds you, you are nothing." Vader's eyes burn. Tears threaten. He swallows them like poison. Padme's body lies behind them, still and final. Palpatine deactivates his saber. "Rise," he says, "and decide who you belong to." Vader stands. Not because he forgives, not because he submits, because he understands the rule. You don't escape the cage by screaming at the bars. You escape by growing teeth. The Empire hardens. Coruscant becomes a machine with one voice. The Senate still convenes because tyrants love theater, but every vote becomes a formality wrapped around fear. Mas Amedda reads declarations with shaking hands. Governors are appointed and reminded, privately, that their authority exists only as long as Vader allows it. Admirals compete. Moffs sharpen knives. Everyone smiles while counting exits. Palpatine stays above the crowd, preferring power that doesn't need applause. Vader becomes the visible fist. The Jedi are declared traitors. Harboring them is treason. The Inquisitorius rises as policy, not rumor. A fortress on Nur grows like a black wound out of the sea. Red blades bloom there. Broken Jedi are taught to hunt their own kind. Training halls echo with screams no one records. On Kamino, vats keep bubbling. Clones remain useful, but they remember. So the transition begins. Stormtrooper recruits fill barracks. New helmets, new indoctrination, a fresh army that knows only Imperial doctrine and never says general like it means something. Across the galaxy, survivors disappear into shadows. Obi-Wan Kenobi wakes on a stolen ship, bandaged and barely conscious, the smell of Mustafar still in his lungs. Bail Organa stands over him, face grim. "You're alive," Bail whispers. Obi-Wan's voice is raw. "Anakin!" Bail's jaw tightens. "Yes." Obi-Wan tries to sit up, and pain forces him back down. "Padme!" Bail doesn't answer, and that silence is answer enough. Obi-Wan closes his eyes. Yoda vanishes into Dagobah's fog. Ahsoka slips into the Undercity and becomes a name traded in safe rooms. Quinlan Vos smiles at soldiers and disappears before they can remember his face. The Jedi don't regroup, they endure. Vader trains, not for serenity, for control. He walks through archives the Jedi failed to burn. Holocrons whisper. Sith texts teach conquest. He learns to turn fear into a weapon you can aim, to crush a man's weapon before his throat, to make helplessness arrive in slow motion. The Force gives him splinters of tomorrow, half-formed moments that vanish the instant he tries to grip them. Palpatine watches, satisfied, convinced he's shaping a perfect enforcer. He doesn't realize he's teaching him how emperors think. Then the Emperor's true fear becomes real. Children, two living beings who carry Vader's blood and the Force like dry brush waiting for a spark. Palpatine insists on distance at first. "They are assets," he says. "They will be raised properly." Vader's voice is cold. "They are mine," Palpatine smiles. "Everything in the Empire is yours." Vader hears the lie. Luke and Leia grow in a private wing of the palace, guarded by troopers who never speak unless spoken to. Tutors teach them history, rewritten as scripture. Droids teach them language and tactics. Palpatine visits rarely, but when he does, the room feels smaller. Vader visits every day. He teaches breathing, awareness, how to feel a room, how to read intention, how to spot the smile that's really a knife. Leia resists first. She has Padme's spine. She stares at Vader like she's trying to find a person inside him worth speaking to. Luke wants to understand. He wants to build. He wants to fly. He looks at Vader like Vader is weather, dangerous, readable, survivable, if you learn the signs. Palpatine watches that curiosity like it's a doorway, and Vader sees it too. So he starts moving pieces in silence. He strengthens ties with clone veterans who still serve, the ones who remember the war and still follow him like they mean it. He posts them outward under stability missions, remote garrisons, outer rim sectors, places the Emperor watches less closely. A loyal spine, built where the spotlight doesn't reach. Palpatine tests him. A senator complains too loudly. Bail Organa's name appears in reports. Mon Mothma's speeches land like warnings. Palpatine hands the file to Vader. "Handle it," he says. Vader goes to Alderaan personally. Not in armor, not with theatrics. He lands in a quiet courtyard and waits until Bail appears, calm but pale, trying not to show fear in front of his own guards. "Lord Vader," Bail says carefully, "to what do we owe the honor?" "You're building something," Vader says. Bail's eyes tighten. "I'm trying to keep people alive. Stop." "Or what?" Vader could take the simple path. Instead, he speaks like a man describing weather before it kills you. "If you build a rebellion, the Emperor will respond with annihilation," Vader says. "He won't negotiate. He'll erase. And your planet will become the lesson." Bail holds his gaze. "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning." Bail's voice drops. "Where is Padme?" The name cuts clean through Vader's control. "She's gone," Vader says. And for a moment, both men stand there with a shared grief neither will name. Vader leaves without a massacre. Palpatine summons him within hours. "You grow sentimental," Palpatine says. "I grow strategic," Vader replies. Palpatine leans forward slightly. "Do you think you can protect everyone you once cared about?" Vader doesn't answer. Palpatine smiles. "You couldn't even protect her." Vader bows, because sometimes you lower your head so you can aim your next move. Years grind forward. The Jedi become legends traded in whispers. The Inquisitors turn those whispers into screams. The Empire grows heavier, sharper, crueler, and Vader grows stronger inside it. Not just in power, but in restraint. Then comes the night that changes everything. It starts with a scream in the palace. Not a human scream, a Force scream. A rupture that makes every sensitive Coruscant flinch like they've been struck. Leia wakes up gasping. Luke sits upright, eyes wide, feeling something terrible moving closer. Vader reaches the private wing to find guards sprawled unconscious, dropped like their minds were switched off. At the far end of the hall, Palpatine stands in the doorway to the twins' chamber, hand raised, the dark side coiling around him like smoke. "They are mine," Palpatine says softly. "You have indulged yourself long enough." Vader steps between him and the door. "No," Vader says. Palpatine's smile widens into something ugly. "Then you will learn what all apprentices learn." Lightning erupts. Vader meets it with his hands, palms open, not blocking like a Jedi, but bending it aside with raw will. The corridor lights blow out, walls crack, stray bolts melt helmets. Vader advances through the storm. Palpatine's eyes narrow, surprise flickers, then delight. "Yes," the Emperor hisses. "Show me." Vader ignites his saber. Red light floods the corridor. Luke and Leia stand behind him in the doorway, small silhouettes, watching their father become a wall between them and something ancient. Vader swings. Palpatine moves like a shadow with teeth. His blade meets Vader's with a shriek that feels like metal screaming. This isn't theater. It's predators deciding who keeps the future. Vader fights with control now, no wasted motion, no rage spilling into sloppy angles. Palpatine tries to split him with words, slipping Padme's name into the clash like poison, promising the children will learn what power truly is. Vader answers by pressing harder. They crash into a wider chamber. Statues shatter. Glass rains down. The palace trembles. Lightning flares again. Vader compresses the Force into a point and crushes the air around Palpatine's lungs. The Emperor stumbles, breath choking, and laughs through it. "Good," he wheezes, "but not enough." A Force wave slams Vader into stone hard enough to crack it. Vader slides down, breath ragged, vision burning. Palpatine steps closer, saber lifted, and nods toward Luke and Leia, frozen in horror. "Look," Palpatine says, "learn." Vader lifts his head. Something shifts. Not hate. Decision. He rises, takes hold of everything he has swallowed, fear, grief, hunger for control, and forges it into focus. Vader surges forward and drives his saber straight through Palpatine's chest. The Emperor stiffens. Lightning sputters and dies. For a heartbeat, Palpatine stands there, impaled, yellow eyes burning with disbelief. "You," he whispers. Vader leans close. "I learned," Vader says, "from you." He twists the blade. Palpatine collapses, robes pooling like spilled oil. Silence swallows the room. Luke and Leia stare as the galaxy shifts under their feet. Vader stands over the body and feels the dark side open like a horizon. No peace waits there. Only the weight of what comes next. Leia finds her voice first, shaking with fury and fear. "What did you just do?" Vader turns to them, and the truth lands like a verdict. Killing Palpatine is the easy part. Holding what he built is the war. The Empire fractures overnight. Rumors leak, then explode. Loyalists panic. Opportunists move. Governors become warlords. Admirals hoard fleets like treasure. The Senate tries to speak and finds its voice gone. Masa Meta appears on a holofeed, face arranged into dignity, announcing continuity. Vader takes the broadcast without theatrics. He sits in the old Chancellor's chair and looks into the camera like a man who has accepted what he is. "Citizens of the Empire," he says, "the Emperor is dead. I have assumed command. Order will continue. Defiance will be ended." He pauses. "And my heirs will be protected." Luke flinches at heirs. Leia's hands clench. Light years away, Bail Organa watches in a dark room and understands the nightmare didn't end. It changed hands. Vader consolidates power with precision. He activates the clone units he seeded across the outer rim like hidden muscle. He offers stability to systems starving for it. He erases warlords who refuse, turning their ambition into cautionary debris. Tarkin tries to build a cleaner empire under his own vision. Vader kills him before the idea can spread. The Inquisitors swear loyalty and start scheming anyway. Vader keeps them close. Noor still trains hunters, but now it watches senators, governors, admirals, anyone with ambition sharp enough to cut the throne. The galaxy wants to believe the Emperor's death means it can breathe. But Vader is alive, whole, and more terrifying than the damaged monster history expected. Bail builds cells anyway. Mon Mothma keeps writing words that feel like knives. Ahsoka moves through the cracks, stealing ships, emptying vaults, turning Imperial victories into hollow numbers. Obi-Wan watches twin suns on Tatooine and feels the same truth in every sunset. Hiding is just waiting to be found. Luke grows into a weapon whether he wants to or not. Vader trains him with brutal honesty, discipline, awareness, and the cost of hesitation. Luke pushes back, arguing that power without compassion is just fear wearing a crown. Vader listens more than he should, because Luke sounds like Padme in the moments that hurt. Leia refuses training as long as she can. She calls Vader a tyrant, a murderer. She says she will never kneel. Vader lets her speak, then gives her the galaxy's rules with no softness. "They will hunt you," he says. "They will use you. They will turn you into a symbol and discard you when it stops being useful." Leia's eyes blaze. "And you won't." Vader doesn't answer, because he doesn't trust what he'd become if she ever truly threatened his control. Vader's hunger shifts again. Palpatine wanted domination. Vader wants certainty. He pushes fleets into the unknown regions because he refuses to be surprised by the edges of the map. Scout ships vanish. Others return shredded, crews half mad from routes that don't behave. Then comes a hail at the edge of space that feels colder than vacuum. Chiss, and a name that surfaces in reports like a warning. Thrawn. A Chiss command ship appears with clean discipline, movement precise. Thrawn's face blooms on the holoprojector, calm, red eyes steady. "Skywalker," Thrawn says softly, not a greeting, a needle. "I am not that man," Vader replies. Thrawn studies him. "But you remember being him." Vader doesn't indulge it. "Surrender," he says. "Submit to Imperial law." Thrawn's answer is quiet and final. No. Vader attacks with overwhelming force. Thrawn refuses the straight fight. He bends the battle. He draws fleets into lanes that become traps. He pulls allies from the dark edges, powers Vader didn't even know were listening. Hyperspace tears open behind Vader's formation. Enemy ships pour in like wolves. For the first time in years, Vader loses ships fast enough that even he feels it as shock. He orders retreat, Thrawn presses, and Vader smiles because the Force has been feeding him glimpses for months, clustered fleets, sudden arrivals, a shadow where starlight should be. He wanted them close. Out of hyperspace behind his retreating line comes a shape that blocks starlight. A battle station. Not the polished monument Palpatine planned, but an unfinished frame with a working core built fast enough to be lethal. The Death Star slides into the battlefield like a verdict. Thrawn's calm finally cracks. "Disperse," he orders. "Move!" Too late. Green light erupts. Ships vanish. Fleets become debris. The Alliance becomes absent. Vader watches from his bridge and feels nothing like victory. Only confirmation. He takes Chiss archives after, star maps, secrets, routes no Imperial should have, and locks the unknown regions into his grasp like a fist. His empire is bigger now. His throne is heavier. Luke and Leia stand beside him in public, heirs in dark robes, faces hard because softness gets you killed. And on quiet nights, Vader still visits Naboo, alone. Rain hits stone. He kneels by a name no one else says in the palace, Padme. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't ask forgiveness. He just sits there, empty, letting silence answer in its only language. Then one day, the Force breaks. Not a whisper, a rupture. Vader collapses in his fortress and sees a vision that isn't his. Large ships, strange designs, lightsabers in hands that do not belong to his era. A cluster of light-side presences far away like a different sky pressing against his. A name flickers across the vision like a wound. Paradia. Vader jerks back into reality, breath sharp, eyes burning. He understands immediately. Something out there felt him, and it didn't like what it sensed. What if Darth Vader reached his full potential? In this timeline, he stays whole, and it doesn't redeem him. It makes him more dangerous because it removes the leash that pain and machinery put on him. He kills Palpatine, takes the throne, raises Luke and Leia as heirs under a shadow that never lifts, and drags the Empire into places the galaxy was never ready to face. And when the Force finally pushes back, it doesn't send a speech. It sends a storm. If you enjoyed this alternate path, hit like, subscribe for more Star Wars stories, and tell us in the comments what scares you more. May the Force be with you.